Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of No More Yes Girls, where we, your hosts, Vivian and Vianney, talk about our healing journeys.
Hi guys.
Hello, hello,
How's
hello.
everybody doing today?
Okay, this episode, wait, is this our 20th? No,
I
I didn't even see.
I don't even know.
Let me see. Oh, it's 21.
Oh, our 21st. We are finally legal. A toast to that.
After rewriting the narrative in our lives.
Yeah. So in this episode, we're gonna talk about how it is to be raised by a step parent and how it is to raise with a step parent.
Yes. Like most of you guys already know, I don't have any kids, but we were raised with a step parent involved right after our divorce, which is my mom's significant other. Um,
Right after her divorce, not our divorce.
oh,
I mean,
I'm
it
sorry,
seems
right after
like
her.
it's
Yeah, right after
our divorce. I mean, it felt that way, but it wasn't our divorce.
when
It
the
was
whole
our
family divorced, I
parents'
should
divorce.
say.
I know.
This is what happens when I have like 50 million things in my mind all going at the same time.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's turn all those off and let's just focus on this
Yes, so
one.
after our parents divorced, my mom got together with her significant other shortly after. So we were raised with a step parent here. So we will briefly talk about that. And Vivian also here will be talking about parenting with a step parent for her firstborn.
Mhm.
I feel like I don't I feel like not a lot of this stuff is not really talked about. It's just people just go with the flow about it, but we never really talk about the in between or the what happens after or how it really was growing up with a step parent. I feel like I feel like it's been so normalized to have step parents now that we never really, well, back then it wasn't as normal as it is now. Um, Having multiple people involved in parenting.
Yeah.
And it was, I feel like in our time when our parents divorced, it was 2001, 2002, around there.
I think it was 2001.
2001, yeah, it was
Mhm.
early 2000s.
The end of 2001.
Yeah, it was the early year of like 2000s. It was our parents' first divorce and their families. So again, back in our traditional culture, people didn't know how to accept or understand the fact that they were separating and getting divorced, how to treat that situation with now kids involved, and how to move forward if the other person decides to remarry or start a different relationship with somebody else while going through this whole process. And I mean, back then it was like there was a lot of hurt, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of just confusion. I feel there was a lot more confusion because it was literally our world just shifted from one day to the next. Like it was, we were all together and then all of a sudden we just all got broken up. And then now my mom has the significant other, and my dad is single and just living, trying to make ends meet on his own. So it was just a lot of just trying to process everything all at the same time. But we didn't know exactly what to process because we were grieving and hurting and angry. So, and we were young too. We were kids. I mean, I was seven or eight. And
Yeah.
and Vivian, she was the oldest. She was 15 at the time.
Hmm.
And then she
And
got pregnant
hmm
around
and
that time too.
yeah, also I think is because unfortunately in our culture, for some reason, therapy is not an option
Oh yeah, no.
because no estamos locos.
Yeah.
Why do we have to go to therapy?
Yeah.
That would have played a bigger role in helping us heal um sooner, or at least understand
Yeah.
what was going on. And I feel like that's why things played out the way they played out in our family life and in our personal life.
Yeah, because
Um,
we just brushed it underneath and just,
and because nobody see my our parents from either side, they're the first ones to go through a divorce on both sides.
mhm,
So nobody understood us as kids
mhm,
what we were going through,
mhm.
and nobody reached out.
Yeah.
So we just navigated that on our own.
Yeah.
And the consequences of that were that we made a lot of mistakes growing up.
Mhm.
And because we just had to learn as we went on. However, like always, there's a good and a bad, because if it wasn't because of that, I don't think we would be who we are today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's always there's a good and a bad, but there was a lot of trauma because of it. And me being 15 at the time, excuse me, where um, our parents were separated, and my mom started this new relationship. I didn't understand what was going on. Again, I'm the one who grew up with my parents together all the time, so I saw most of that, and so my world shattered when everybody just went their own separate ways.
Yeah.
And our brother, there's four of us between mom and dad, and it's me as the oldest, and then we have a brother in between my sister and I, and then we have my baby brother after my sister. Our our brother, the one between her and I, decided he wanted to go with my dad, so he was raised with my dad. So
Mhm,
that for me was new because my brother and I are only 2 years apart.
mhm.
So it was a separation between the whole family.
Yeah.
And and then, here comes this new person into my mom's life. We didn't know how to deal with it. We didn't know what to do, especially me. And I think that's when I just kind of took, full on responsibility for my siblings. However, I was in that moment where I was very rebellious. I was 15. I didn't know. Nobody was there for me. No one was asking me how I was doing. I wasn't understanding the relationship that was going on. My mom and my
Mhm.
dad were constantly arguing and fighting,
Yeah.
even though they weren't together.
Mhm.
So that caused me to end up looking for what I did not have at home out in the street.
That safety net. Hmm.
So yeah, and that and because of that, I made decisions that affected the trajectory of my life. And along came my oldest daughter, which again now I look back and there consequences of my own actions, and not that I did not know what was right and what was wrong, but however I also did not have that guidance, and I did not have someone who was there for me and talked to me and said, hey, I know you're going through this by yourself, or maybe we can go to some type of therapy, or we can help you out. Didn't have any of that. Started looking for it outside with my daughter's biological side of the family, because that's all that I knew.
Yeah.
Nobody else in the family ever reached out or asked or anything. And unfortunately, things went sideways. And so it was hard for us to respect, I feel, at least for me, to respect my mom's significant other, because I felt disrespected at the point where we weren't taken into consideration, or at least I wasn't taken into consideration of what was going on. Which I mean, I get it, it's my mom's life, she can do whatever she wants. However, it was new to us.
Hmm.
It wasn't something that oh, you know what, I broke up with my boyfriend and now I want to get to know somebody else and I want to have a new boyfriend. No, because there's children involved. Again, I'm not judging my mom's decisions. I'm not judging my dad's decisions. I mean, they did whatever they thought was right at the moment.
Yes.
And again, like I had said before in other episodes, I have talked to my mom about this. My mom is fully aware of my feelings, and we've hashed out, why I did certain things, and, why I had certain feelings towards her significant other. And I talked to him about it as well. So we have hashed all that out, thankfully. But now I'm talking about, my experience now and growing up, now 20 something years with a step parent.
Yeah.
However, yeah, things were rocky for many, 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 many years, because it's not something we were used to, and because our dad was and is still involved in our life.
Hmm. Yeah.
He is still involved in our life, so it's not like, we he just forgot about us and that's it, and we were raised with a step parent and it was whatever he did and said. And my mom, that's not how it was. But we did have a lot of he said, she said,
Yeah.
I'm going, I'm not going, he's going to be there, she's going to be there. And unfortunately, we were raised that way, and it is what it is. It did have, really bad consequences, at least for me, in that aspect. I don't know about you, sister. How did you feel? Because you were younger, so you
I
were
was
more
young.
raised with him, and our little brother was
Yeah.
completely like
He was
raised
like, yeah,
by him. Yeah,
yeah. He was like 2 or 3, our
he
little
was
brother.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
our little brother. So if he was 2, then I was 7 because we're 5 years apart.
and our step parent did not have any children,
Oh, yeah.
so that was also different because he didn't have and he didn't want to have any kids. So that also played a big part of, you know, I feel, about him not knowing maybe what to do or how to, do certain things, or what he should have done or not.
Yeah. No, because I was young, or I was one of the younger ones, it was very confusing, at least for me, because I didn't, again, I was 7 years old. I didn't understand what was going on. Like for me, everything just shifted from one day to the next. That's how I feel. Like it just, one day we're one whole family traveling or going to Mexico consistently and or taking like doing a bunch of stuff together. And then all of a sudden everything just went away and then we just moved and then my mom then her new significant other just started becoming in our lives or being in our lives. He actually was living with us like shortly after, I believe. Shortly after.
No, my mom, we moved in with him.
Oh, we moved in to see. That's like
Yeah.
for me, honestly, I'm gonna be very honest. That moment in life, and I think it's after talking to my therapist about it, it became such a blur. I feel like I just went to bed with my whole family and then I woke up to like everything just shifted and completely different.
Yeah. And you know what, sister, I think because there was so many unanswered questions,
Yeah.
up until not that long ago,
Yeah. I mean,
of
it
that
wasn't until I had,
relationship,
yeah.
that we were like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because nothing was said or owned up or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So I think that had a lot to do with it too, where we were kind of like in that uh fight or flight mode,
Yeah.
and we just kind of, our body just kind of forgot about a lot of things.
Yeah, and it's also part of like the trauma response. I remember my therapist was saying, because I did a lot of cognitive therapy, where I mean, I would tell her, like, I don't remember a lot of stuff that happened to me,
Yeah.
um, or that happened throughout early on in my life. Like, it was my safety net. I just decided to like just blur it out. And that's what she was ta telling me. It was more of a trauma response that you just didn't want to think about it, but you need to have this. And that's when I ended up having conversations with both my parents about it too, and actually sitting down and talking to them like how I feel. or how I
Hmm.
felt. And when I started my healing journey years ago, and it was then where I'm just like, okay, now I was able to understand. And now like little things started coming back to me. And it was a lot of just putting two and two together and understanding where they were coming from, understanding, and then understanding where I was coming from at the same time too. And granted, like we just same here. Like our relationship with both of our parents are great now. I don't blame them in anything in any way whatsoever. They raised us to the best of their ability. Now it's our turn what we want to take from their relationship, take from their values, their morals, and if we want to apply that to our daily living or our lives. So it's up to us now that we're older, how we want to live and how we want our relationships to look like. Okay, sorry, I digressed. But throughout that time, I remember I was also grieving because I wasn't seeing my dad as much. And I remember this one time, I just remember it so vividly. Um, I believe my mom rented this house, and we were living in this house, and all of a sudden I started hearing a man's voice, and early in the morning, and I thought it was my dad. And I thought it was my dad, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's back. He's finally back. And I remember I had opened the door and it was my mom's significant other. And I remember like my heart just like shattered because I was expecting my dad. And when I saw that it wasn't my dad, I was just like, oh my gosh, when I was waiting to go back to how things were.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, that's how I felt. Like I was just waiting, like, okay, it was just probably just something, and we're probably gonna we'll probably be back how it was. But then obviously as time went by and years went by, it's like, okay, I still didn't know at the time, I still didn't know what happened. It was like a whole, that's how I felt. Like it was like from one day to the next, just a whole different transition. And with my stepdad, I mean, I felt like I had an okay relationship with him growing up. Like we were all trying to understand each other. We were all trying to, yeah, I was very rebellious at times too, but I believe the rebellious portion of it was the hurt portion that I was going through as I was growing as well. So I know I said mean things and I know I've done mean things to hurt my parents, but at the same time, it was something that I was going through as a trauma response. And
And nobody understood
and
it
nobody, yeah,
because, yeah,
yeah,
they were so busy trying to hurt one another that unfortunately they used us to hurt each other.
yeah,
And that caused us to react.
yeah. We were like our parents' middle person.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I saw it.
And yeah. And so well uh
Mediator. No,
yeah,
not even a
mediator. No,
no, because no, we weren't mediating the situation.
yeah, no, it was just kind of like tell him this, tell him that,
Yeah,
or tell her this,
yeah,
tell her that.
yeah,
And because of that, at least me, I I found out and I heard a lot of things I shouldn't have regarding my parents because they would vent to me as the oldest, and that had a big effect on me
yeah,
um, as I got older. So yeah, it caused a lot of judgment between my parents because I was fed, all the issues.
yeah,
So it sucks, but at the end of the day, I mean, I don't judge them. I mean, it is what it is.
yeah,
I mean, it had nothing to do with me. I learned to understand that part and know that it had nothing to do with me for a long time. For a long time, I did think it was me. Maybe I should have said. Maybe I should have known, or maybe if I would have said this or I would have said that, things would have changed. But it had nothing to do with me.
yeah,
So yeah, unfortunately, that played a big part, at least in me rebelling, and I don't know if it also played a part in you, which could have been. as well, because I mean, at the end of the day, it is your mom and it is your dad, and we love them both the same. And anybody talks bad about my mom and my dad, you're gonna, flip out.
Defend, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know if it was part of you also, why you were rebelling, but yeah.
In a way, I think it was more so because I wasn't getting the attention at all.
Hmm.
So it was more so like, okay, well, what about me? Like,
Mm,
do I get some of the love? Do I get some of like is there it was just a lot of confusion. It was a lot of confusion. That's how I felt. And don't get me wrong, we've had I mean, I'm grateful for the times that my mom or my dad took us even though by ourselves somewhere, or my mom and my stepdad would take us to a lot of things. But I feel like my mom and my stepdad would pay for a lot of things for us to be like, okay, well, we're giving you everything.
it was more materialistic
Yeah, I was gonna say it was
and
more,
not
it
emotion,
wasn't,
no, not emotional.
yeah, it was more materialistic and not really emotional, which I understand why they were trying to do it that way. They were at least my mom, it was hard for her to open up and to talk about things at the time. And I mean now I understand. But back then I just didn't know. And then my dad too, like my dad didn't really talk about things, or the moment I would bring up my mom or the moment I would bring up her significant other, it was just like all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
So it was always walking on eggshells when it came to them, to all of them.
Yeah.
So my response was, okay, I'm just going to stay quiet.
Yeah.
I'm
You
just
just
going to stay
learn to
quiet
like
and just
agree
look
with
the other
whatever
way.
everybody says. Yeah. And you just learn to agree with what everybody
Yeah.
says because you don't want to be the cause of
Yeah.
whatever happens.
Yeah. So that's when a lot of my people pleasing started, and that's when a lot of my overcompensating started too, because it's like, okay, I want to please my mom, but I also want to please my dad.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't want to make them mad. Like I don't want them, I mean, they already have a lot, they're already mad as is. I don't want to be another cause of it.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of yeah, a lot of people pleasing and making sure that everybody was okay. And I didn't want to be the blame for anything whatsoever. Like I wanted to
Hmm.
make sure that that they didn't have to worry about me,
Yeah.
because I saw that how worried they were about with each other, whatever. So yeah, that was when all of that started. And it again, it wasn't until I started getting older, I started doing a lot of reflection and going to therapy, because it was eating me up inside, where I'm like, why do I always feel so burnt out, so tired? Like I'm always giving and I'm always giving and I'm always giving. And it was hurting me inside internally. That was also when I started actually reflecting back and talking about my emotions, talking more in depth with my mom and my dad, and being more understanding and putting myself into their shoes and their situation, and letting them know how I feel. It was all a whole healing journey. And it wasn't from one day to the next. I'm talking about 15, 10 to 13 years of healing.
Hmm. Yeah.
It literally was taking me in baby steps, and I would notice that with my relationships, I always had it in the back of my head, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to end up like my mom and my dad. Like I was always so worried. Or is there anything that I can do to change a specific behavior, a specific way? And that's when I started getting into self-development, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can actually change. Like I don't have to be like this.
Yeah.
And that's when I started my healing journey. But now I feel like with the relationship, my mom is still with her significant other. It's been over 20 years since they've been together. I mean, I will always have respect towards him. And if that's the person that my mom chooses to be with, that so be it. That's her decision. That if she's happy with that, then I'm happy with it too.
Yeah.
And that's the way I see their relationship now. Like that's my mom's significant other. I'm going to respect him. I'm going to respect their relationship. And of course, if I'm not going to get involved because it's nothing to do with any of us, that's all on my mom and her significant other. Same thing with my dad. And it got to the point where it got to the point where I've healed so hard that I introduced my dad to his now significant other. Which it's so cute because now they thank me for it every 5 minutes or every time they see me.
So, but before we jump into that part, sister, because we do have a little sister.
Yeah.
So we don't want to just like, take her out of, or like, where does she come from? So she has her mom from a previous relationship that my dad also went into from the beginning of the divorce. Well, probably a few years
No, it was
into
like,
after being divorced.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
probably like
years. It was a couple
3, I
years
think.
out.
Like 4 or 5 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
after they got
'Cause I remember
divorced.
it was a period. There was a
Yeah,
period that when he was single. Yeah, he dated, but it wasn't serious, nothing
yeah, yeah.
serious. But when he got serious with my mom's sister, I want to say
With
years.
your mom's sister.
With my sister's mom. Oh my gosh. I don't know what's wrong with me
What is
today.
wrong with you today?
I have a lot going on in my head,
No.
clearly.
Yeah, no, with our sister's mom, um, that relationship also didn't last when she found out she was pregnant. So that's why I mean, they had just recently broken up. She found out she was pregnant, and then, we have our little sister.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was, and I'm pretty sure it's different for my dad. I mean, we try to talk to him and say, hey, don't make the same mistakes. You have this opportunity with our sister, be there for her.
yeah,
Don't let anything or anyone get in between your relationship with our sister, because she deserves to have her dad present and, be a part of her life, just as us.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, we try to have my dad, not, I mean, we can't make him do things he doesn't want to do, but at least,
Encourage
we
him.
can we can encourage him to, not make the same mistakes. And up until now, I mean, my sister loves my dad and loves us, and we love her to death. And so she's awesome. She's pretty
Yeah.
good. I think she's the best version of all of us.
Although I was gonna say
Yeah.
she really is.
She is.
She has a
She's a,
little bit of all of us. It's so cute.
yeah, she's so amazing, and she's so smart, and I love her. Proud
Yeah.
of her. Um
And I'm proud of my
but
dad too.
yeah.
I'm gonna be proud. I am proud. I am proud of my dad because even though he's not with my sister's mom, he's been there for her.
Yeah.
And every step of the way, he hasn't judged her like he did with us when we were
Hmm.
younger. He doesn't, he sits down and talks to her and understands her and is a ear for her and is a shoulder to cry on just for
Yeah.
if anything were to happen. And even my sister would express like, gosh, I love my dad. Like I'm so grateful
Yeah.
to have my dad. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, to hear that, at least it makes the little girl inside me so happy because it's just like, wow, like I'm so glad my dad is not repeating some of these patterns
Yeah.
that he did when we were younger.
Yeah.
So
And just when he didn't, sorry, sister, when he
yeah,
doesn't understand, or he doesn't know how to communicate a certain way, or he doesn't understand a certain situation, I know he calls me,
yeah,
because my sister is 1 year older than my second daughter. So yeah, our sister she just turned 17.
yeah.
Um, and so my dad's just kind of like, he'll call me and be like, okay, I don't know how to deal with this. What can I say? What can I do? How can I approach the situation?
Yeah.
And that's amazing, because one, maybe back then my dad didn't have anybody who can
With that support
help
system.
him, yeah, that support
Mhm.
system, or help him communicate with us.
Yeah.
But now he knows that he can ask us, and we're able to help him,
Yeah.
so he can be the best version of him for our sister.
Yes. I'm proud.
Yeah. So now we can jump on to how he met his now significant other.
Yeah, yeah. So, again, like my dad, he's never really been, as he's gotten older, he's never really been like a serial dater. Like he just, I don't know, he's just never didn't want to waste his time, I guess. He didn't want to. And I think he also had a lot of stuff that needed to heal. He
Hmm.
had some stuff inside that he needed to overcome before he settled or settles for a relationship, and that's totally understandable. Um,
I think he was scared.
and scared too, fearful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, fearful and scared to jump into another relationship or be in
Hmm.
another relationship because he tried it twice already and it didn't work, or there
Yeah.
was just he was I think he was scared and tired. And he would tell me, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna be by myself. Like
Hmm.
I'm just gonna do my own thing." And it got to the point where, I mean, we were living together when we were in San Jose or in California. And it got to the point where I remember coming home from work and my dad would just be sitting down on the couch with the TV turned off, like, and dark. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
I'm like, Dad, uh, you need to start getting out there. And he's like, no, ¿qué voy a andar haciendo allá afuera? Like, he would always like tell me, no, he's too old. Like, he already set his mind to being single for the rest of his life and not being or not settling down or not being with anybody because he already tried it and it just wasn't for him.
Yeah.
That he was so,
That was his
uh,
excuse.
yeah, he was so,
He had given up in life.
determined. He
Yeah.
was so determined that that was going to be the outcome of his life. Granted, at the time, I mean, my dad is still young. Both my parents are still young. He was in his mid 50s, which I still find that young. Um,
No, early 50s.
early? Oh yeah, early 50s. He was in his early 50s and he had decided that he was like no longer going to be dating or seeing anybody anymore
Yeah.
and just be by himself. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So, I would tell him, I would encourage him, go out, go meet people. I would joke around with him, being like, hey, want me to make you um an online account so you can meet people online? And he's like, oh my gosh, yo andando en esas chingadas. Like he would just start he was like, no. But I was trying to encourage him to at least get out there, and he was just not having it. So it wasn't until one of my friends, who's also a nurse, was telling me about her mother-in-law at the time, and she was having the same situation too. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I love my mother-in-law, but man, like she's so young just to be indoors and just settling at life by herself. Like I would tell her to go out, I would tell her to explore, I would tell her to go out with her friends, but she would always tell me to have her and or her family go out or her and her husband go out and she'll take care of their kid, her granddaughter. And that she'll just be the babysitter for the rest of their lives. And my friend would be like, "No, you're not going to just be babysitting for no, you're still young. You still got it. Go out, enjoy yourself. Go have fun with your friends. Meet people or meet somebody." And I remember she specifically said, "I'm not going to, I will settle down until somebody knocks at my front door or until that person comes and knocks at my front door." And so then when my friend started telling me about her mother-in-law, I was just like, oh my gosh, that sounds exactly like my dad. Like that's definitely my dad's type of person. And then my friend was just like, what if we introduce them? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be hilarious. I was already thinking about like the funny stuff that was gonna happen. But I was just like, you know what? That is not a bad idea. And so we were like trying to brainstorm how to have them meet because I know they for a fact that my dad, it was going to be kind of hard for me to take my dad out and kind of
Yeah,
like surprise, not surprise him, but for him to
like
meet
a
other
blind
people.
date.
Yeah, like he
Yeah.
was just not gonna have it. And so then like we were trying to brainstorm and then she was just like, you know what? I had enough. How about I give you my mother-in-law's number, you give me your dad's number. I'll send you pictures of my mother-in-law. You send me pictures of your dad. And I'll let her know. I'll type the phone number into her phone. You can do the same to your dad. And if they want to contact each other, they can contact each other. If not, they have nothing to lose. And I'm like, you know what? All right, I'll try that. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'll try that.
All planned out.
That's what we did.
That's like Cupid 2.0.
Literally, I was half the Cupid, she was the other half. I ended up coming home and I'm like, Dad, so when I came home and I was like, Dad, I want to tell you something. He immediately thought like the worst thing had happened to me. And I'm like, no, Dad, I'm fine. He's like, well, when you come home and you say you want to talk to me or you want to tell me something, like I immediately think something
Something
happened.
happened.
Yeah, as a parent. And I'm like, no, Dad, I did something. I don't know how you're gonna respond to it, but hear me out. So then I told my dad the story and I told her like, or I told him like she's also from Michoacan. She's also from the same state of Mexico you're from. You guys are roughly about the same age. She's also single. This is how she looks like. I showed him pictures of her. And I ended up putting her phone number in my dad's phone, and then my dad was just quiet. He was quiet the whole time. And I'm like, well, my job is done. We'll see what happens. I was like, Dad, you have nothing to lose. She's well aware that you guys may or may not contact each other, but it's up to you guys if you guys want to start getting to know each other. And I mean, hey, you again, you have nothing to lose. Like, if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay. And sí, dicho y hecho. I remember this was a Saturday because I remember that was my weekend on work. And Sunday, I had asked him if he can come with me to the furniture store because I had bought like a repisa, like a the furniture or bought some furniture that I needed to pick up, and I needed his truck and his help for it. This happened Saturday. Sunday we went to work because or my friend also was scheduled to work. She came in a little later than I did, and then she asked me, "Hey, does your dad drive a like a silver-ish gray truck?" And I'm like, "Yes." And then she was just like, well, he picked up my mother-in-law this morning for breakfast. And I was like, wait, what? When did this happen? I was not aware. What is going on? So then I came home from work and my dad wasn't home. And I was just like, where's my dad? Because I specifically had told him, like, hey, I need you, or is it okay if you could be available at this time so we can go? So the furniture store was going to close at 6 or 7 o'clock. He ended up coming home like right before they closed. Luckily, the furniture store was super close by. So we didn't have to, it wasn't as late. But he ended up coming home like maybe almost an hour before they closed. And then I remember he came in and he came in like with the most biggest smile and like the most exciting, like his demeanor just changed from what I
Yeah.
was seeing like months and years prior. I was just like, wow, Dad, ¿cómo le fue? Escuché que tuvo, o escuché que fue a desayunar con su amiga hoy en la mañana. And then he just started laughing and he just looked at me with like a big old smirk. And then I was just like, well, we need to go because I was waiting for you earlier and you never got home. So then he was just like, oh my gosh, it's like if we've known each other for a long time. And it turns out, and I think it was all God. Honest to God, I'm
Oh, of
pretty
course.
sure it was all God. Because, granted, I didn't know what part of Michoacan my dad's significant other is from or was from at the time. It turns out that she is from the same exact town as where my dad is from in Michoacan. And it turns out that she grew up like 2 blocks away from where my dad used to live.
Hmm.
And it's like, what the heck? I did not know that. First of all, I did not know that whatsoever. So to have my dad or to have somebody or for my dad to meet somebody so relatable and so like part of his culture in a way, I think became more of like his safety net because he's like, well,
Yeah.
okay, somebody who can understand me or somebody who can now see where I'm coming from. And it turns out they also had somewhat similarities growing up and it was just like my dad said, like it felt like they've known each other for the longest time, the very first day they met.
Yeah.
So they've been together ever
Yeah.
since.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and I think that that one is way different. It's a whole different feeling now that we're adults,
Yes.
than
Yeah.
it was when we
When
were
we were
younger.
younger.
Yeah, because
Hmm.
now we understand, and even you took a part in trying to find him, somebody where he, it's just God used you in his ways, and it all worked out. And your friend as well, because remember her friend is the or was the daughter-in-law. So it's
Was,
not like
right.
it was
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like it was like her kids or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So yeah, and that is, as an adult, you kind of want that now for your divorced parent. You don't want them to be on their own.
Yeah.
Now you look for it, and I think that's healthier because we have a very healthy communication with my dad and his significant other, and it's different. It just feels different.
Yeah. Like my
So
dad, you feel my dad is like much more calmer, much more understanding now,
yeah,
and started slowly changing his perspective of things too.
yeah,
And they tell me they communicate they've been communicating a lot more lately and trying to work things out too and trying to work out their past together. So, I mean, honestly, like now I'm just so grateful and thankful to have somebody like her in his life
yeah.
because I don't know, I guess for me I've always felt again, it's also emotional bond or like that trauma bond that I have with my dad. Like I
Hmm.
just didn't want him. Like I feel like weight is just lifted off my shoulders because
Yeah,
I've always been very close to my dad and I
and he
would
has
see
somebody to
him.
lean on
Yeah, and he
now. He's
doesn't
not
have
on his
to.
own. Yeah, he
Yeah.
sees he's not he doesn't shut down like he used to. Now he's making plans to a future and
Yeah.
taking care of himself, and doing a lot of things that back then he was just not, looking forward to, or not even,
Yeah.
it wasn't even in his plans.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
um but now, as adult, well, me as an adult and having my own family, how that played a part with me. And I'm always going to remember my mom when I asked her why she had started this relationship with her significant other, and I was young. I still had not had my daughter yet. um so I was maybe 15, like 16 maybe, because I got pregnant with my daughter at 16. So I was probably just had turned 16 maybe. uh I had asked her, why she had started this relationship, and I remember her clearly. I remember where we were going, and I remember exactly the moment that she told me When you have kids, you'll understand. And that's something that I've always carried with me because I don't understand a lot of the decisions that she made and that my dad made. Now that I have my kids and I'm married, and I just wonder, or I used to wonder, because now I know everything, but I used to wonder, why make those decisions, you know? Um, so when I had my daughter and I became a single mom by choice, I had my daughter and decided that I was going to raise my daughter not in the environment that her biological father was in. I decided to step away, and he also agreed that it wasn't the best for her, and so I stepped away from that circle, and they decided to stay away completely. So my daughter did not have her biological dad in her life at all. She just met him a few years back. But when I met my husband, my daughter was 4 years old. She had just turned, no, she was four. She was going to be five.
Yeah.
She was going to start kindergarten. And when I met my husband, he made my daughter his priority. And so he always did everything that he could to be there for her and me as well. Mind you, this is a man who had just recently migrated to the United States, had sworn he would never be with anybody who had kids. Um, and
Surprise.
I know. And so never say never.
Yeah.
Um, and so when I met him, he from day one, I don't know, he fell in love with my daughter, I mean, with me. And then 3 months later, it was time to put her, in kindergarten. So we had like our orientation and we have all this. And he took the day off of work to come with me for her orientation that he was not his responsibility whatsoever or anything like that. He decided to be involved. When, after going through what I went through with my parents and the relationship with my mom, I decided that I was never going to lie to my kids at that point, my daughter. So as our relationship progressed with my husband, before he was my husband, my daughter started calling him dad. So when that happened, I sat down with my husband, or boyfriend at the time, with my husband and my daughter, and I explained to her and I said, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. You might not understand it now, but, as you get older, you'll realize, there's dads that are born in your heart. And then there's dads that have, your blood. As she would, try to explain it to her, she would understand it. And I go, this is you can call him dad if that's what you want. Because mind you, she wanted to. We never, ever, ever forced her or told her this is your dad, like, because she was older already. And so it came from her. And so when that happened, when I explained to her and I said, he's your dad, I told her it was her dad de corazon. So I had never lied. I know my husband was so confused because, mind you, he had never had kids. So he was like, why don't you just let her? I mean, she didn't realize. And I said, no, because I am not going to lie to my child. Like, there's no way I cannot lie to my child. What would happen when she gets older and then she finds out the truth? And guess what? She's never going to trust me, and that's something that and I completely understood that by the time she was a teenager, she was going to start asking questions and she was going to want to know. Another rule I had was I was never going to talk bad about her biological dad, ever. And that stemmed from my parents' divorce.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm not going to talk. I did not allow my husband to talk bad about him, or we didn't even mention him at all in our home until she got older and she started asking questions. She had, of course, I had pictures that belonged to her because I mean, it's her right. I have pictures and things that I gave her throughout the years. However, because there was damage and because I was damaged when I met my husband, when we had our second daughter, I had trauma. So I was focused on my second daughter and trying to show my husband that I was a good mom so that in my head he wouldn't leave me and then I'd be stuck with two kids
Mm,
because I thought I was wrong for leaving in the first with my daughter's my oldest daughter's biological dad. I was I felt wrong about it. Like I took everything away. Like if I took that from my daughter. Now I don't. Now my daughter completely understands it, and she thanks me for it because it obviously she decided to go no contact with her biological dad after she met him. But that was something that I did not realize I had started to damage my oldest daughter.
yeah.
Of course, as time passed by and she got older, I never saw how wrong I was
Yeah.
because again, I was doing what I was taught and what I had seen. So
Hmm.
without knowing, even though I had placed, these things of, you know, um, being truthful to her and everything, I wasn't aware of the damage that I was causing her or the trauma up until and it's funny how I found out. I saw a video. I saw an old video where she was like 6 and I was rude to her. And I saw her face and she just kind of went to her own little world. And she was so sad that by this time, when I saw that video, my daughter was now 16. So 10 years had passed by. Imagine how much damage I had caused my daughter for 10 years. And I came to her room and I sat down to her and I apologized. And I said, now I understand what you meant when you said I never paid attention to you. I go,
Mm,
because for me, I thought, no, I mean, the same thing. I had her fed. She went to school. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was there for her all the time. She wanted me to pick her up. I would pick her up. She wanted McDonald's. I would take her to McDonald's. But I was not there for her emotionally because I wasn't okay emotionally.
yeah.
And so it was a lot of trauma that I had caused her. And because of that, she rebelled against my husband. And so even though my husband never, told her anything or discipline her or anything, like he tried to like be not cause more issues, I guess you could say, that caused her to go against him. And so the whole you're not my dad, you just need to leave me alone, you can't tell me what to do. And it was, I mean, he had already raised her. And so it caused a lot of damage up until I think now that she's older, she realizes a lot. But even though I still never talked about her biological father, never told her anything, have her hate him when he reached out, which for some reason, you just know people. And I knew that when she was going to almost hit 18, he was going to reach out, which he did. And they decided to meet. And I told her, I said, I wanted you to find out on your own. I didn't want to be the one to tell you or judge him or because I didn't know also what had happened to him and I didn't know why he never reached out or anything. Those are questions she asked me. I said, I can't answer you those questions. Those are questions you have to ask him, which she did. And she has her own reasons for going no contact with him. But now sees my husband and appreciates him a lot more.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of it took a lot to get to that point. And it's still, I mean, it's still a work in progress. It's still a work in progress because a lot of damage was done to her. But I have sat down and tried to help her heal, by me owning up, apologizing to her, and trying to work with her through a lot of things that I personally caused, and just taking the time, because she's a mom now, so wouldn't want that to happen with my granddaughter, and which, thank God, it has worked. I mean, yeah, there's stuff that triggers her, and I will sit down and I'll talk to her and I say, I know it triggers you because I know I treated you this way and because I was triggered, but understand, and I try to explain it to her and, you know, so she doesn't do the same thing. And there's times where she'll come to me and she's, Mom, how can I deal with this? Because I'm not understanding this or I'm getting triggered. And so we'll sit down and talk about it. But yeah, yeah, I think it's more different than how we were raised because our our dad was involved. So for me, it's new. It was new because there was no other involvement here. It was just my husband and myself. And so now, I mean, there's some things that still need to be worked on, but it's hard. It's hard to be to raise a child. And a lot of people, it's funny because a lot of people do not know that she's my husband's stepdaughter.
Oh,
So yeah, a lot of people do not know that. I mean, because they have such a good relationship now that it's just, I mean, my granddaughter, that's her grandpa, and she cries for her grandpa all the time, which now, unfortunately, my daughter ended up in the same situation as I did, and she's a single mom again by choice, but there's no father figure there at all but my husband for my granddaughter. And that's something, that I have to, and I have to say, I commend my husband for being there, not only for my daughter, for my granddaughter as well,
yeah.
because not a lot of men do that. And, they don't put up with, I mean, my husband has put up with my healing, my daughter's healing. I mean, he has put up, not put up. I say I appreciate my husband so much because not many people take on the responsibility. I mean, you see it now, but I feel like now it's more like he was a good stepdad or a bad stepdad. Nobody talks anything about in between.
Yeah.
And I think my husband did put up with a lot that I don't want to say he shouldn't have because he knew what he was getting himself into, but decided to stay and be a part of our journey and our healing. Because at the end of the day, he was my pillar
Yeah.
and my daughters and now my granddaughters. And so I think he's an amazing guy for that and for being there for us. Many times he could have just said, you know what, this is too much for me,
Yeah.
because he does not come from divorced parents. He does not come from seeing at least this type of trauma in
Hmm.
family.
Yeah.
So it was new for him, but he's somebody that, he's gone through a lot. So we
Yeah.
appreciate him in this household. So here there is no step parents. Here is a full family. There's grandma, grandpa, kids, and that's it. Mom and dad.
Yeah. And I bet he learned a lot too.
He has, and and not only that, but I think he's also learned how to recognize certain patterns, I think, as well, like where we stand sometimes, or sometimes he's now at that point where if he sees I'm overthinking about something or something, and then he's like, are you sure you don't need to like meditate or talk to God? Because you need to like, are you serious right now? But because he sees it. I mean, he sees, what I do and how I come when it comes to my healing and how something triggers me. And he's a big part of it. Like, okay, yeah, at the moment he might not say anything, but then later on he's like, so did you figure this out yet? And it's like, oh yeah, he sees it. Like he understands it.
Yeah.
So and he's done some healing himself of things that he didn't even know, he needed to work through. That has been our journey, being raised with a step parent and being a parent raising with a step parent.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of this is not really talked about, how I mentioned earlier. So I'm glad that we are
We're
touching base.
touching.
Yeah, are touching base about this because back then it wasn't as normalized as it is now. And we just wanted to share our experience. Just wanted to share our experience with it. My sister sharing her experience with raising her daughter as well, coming from divorced parents as well. I mean, if this resonated with you, you guys are not alone. We totally understand. We
Yeah.
totally are going through something similar. We get it. We've been there. Yeah, we always say this at the end of the episode, but you can easily contact us through any social media platforms. We also have our email address listed below if you ever want to send a message or reach out. Like we got it. Go into our community group, totally free. You can ask your questions or your comments there. It's a private group, so it's a non-judgmental group, I should say.
Hmm.
So you can easily feel safe to ask any or just to say anything that you want to say or comes out. Yeah, we're here. We're here and we understand where you're coming from if you're going through any of these situations. And I will say things will always get a lot better once you start doing this healing journey and you start forgiving the people you need to forgive and accept the situation that you need to accept and just continue working on yourself. Again, not only for yourself, but for everybody around you and for your
Yeah.
own well-being and your own peaceful mind and heart.
Yeah. And always love yourself and love
Yeah,
everybody around you.
yeah,
Love them with understanding, not with
yes,
judgment.
correct.
We never know what people are going through,
Yeah,
especially, when we have to grow up with parents that never had that support system.
yeah.
And so we love them with unconditional love and understanding.
Mhm.
And that helps them. You might not see a change. We cannot change anybody, but at least they'll feel the love from you.
And like I said this before, and I'll say it again, this year is all about unconditional love.
Mhm.
So I'm embodying that fully. And it's been changing my life so much, and for the better, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful to for the family that God put me in, and for the people that are surrounded around me,
Yeah.
because it's very we've gotten to a point where yes, we did a lot of work to get here, but it's very peaceful. It's very peaceful and very loving, and I just want to be in love.
Yeah. And again, I mean, don't get us wrong. We tell our story not for anybody to feel bad, but to understand that you're not alone. Healing is possible. We don't need to be mad or be rude or hold grudges against, our parents or our family because of what we went through, but just try to find that self-love so we're able to love everybody with understanding. And because, it everything is possible, and it's our story and we've gone through it, and we're just trying to help you guys out there who sometimes feel alone, because I know I felt alone for the longest time. I felt that maybe nobody understood me.
Hmm. Yeah.
Back then, there was not this way of communication like there is now. It wasn't that, you couldn't reach that many people. Now, it's possible. Reach out. Therapy works. Therapy will give you the tools to at least start healing. Start healing within you, so then that you are able to now, pass it on, or just be able to open up about your own story.
Yeah.
And you can also be in the position where we're at and help somebody else out.
And you never know who needed to hear that story from you. You'll be
Yeah.
amazed.
Yeah. Sometimes even ourselves, I mean, we need to hear some other people's story to sit down and,
Yeah.
realize and
Yeah.
appreciate them, and appreciate our own life.
And like I mentioned before, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, for subscribing, for following on all our social media platforms. We're just so thankful and full of gratitude to each and every one of you because we've been growing on in all areas, literally, personally, and on our
Yeah.
social life. And we have you guys to thank. I invite you guys to continue listening taking what resonates, and you don't have to take anything personal, and if it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. We're just sharing our experiences, like my sister said, and if you guys need anything, you guys know where to reach us. Everything is listed down below. And I think I say this in every episode, but we're very, very easy to talk to get access to. So once again, we're sending you so much love and light, and we will see you on our next episode.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.